For the first time since the resurgence of the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the key rebel group AFC M23 has committed to a declaration that may end the fighting. The agreement brokered by Qatar comes barely a month after the US led a similar peace agreement between Rwanda and the DRC. As usual, the African Union welcomed this as a significant development. But what happened to the famous slogan of African solutions to African problems?
Because it's a lack of trust.
Angola, for example, leading the AU mediation efforts was a problem from the beginning, purely because Rwanda met Angola with mistrust. When Kenya was taking the charge of it previously, the DRC met Kenya with mistrust.
Welcome to the flip side. The AU has been criticized for not doing enough to help the continent overcome its many problems, especially insecurity. But to be fair, the AU and other regional blocs have put forward several plans as far back as 2006, when a Pact for Security, Stability and Development of the Great Lakes region was signed in Nairobi. Subsequently, in 2007, 2008 and 2009, several mediation efforts led to the signing of different agreements, including the recent deployment of SADC troops into the DRC. All these attempts failed. Why? Some people believe it boils down to who is invited to the negotiating table.
Au même moment que les partis discutent à différentes tables de négociation, les mêmes partis déploient leurs forces sur le terrain. C'est que on a quand même des raisons de rester sceptiques.
Qu'on invite d'autres mouvements. Parce que si on ne les invite pas, je crains qu'ils puissent aussi rester frustrés, qu'ils continuent à massacrer la population, pour qu'ensuite, eux aussi, on les appelle à leur tour. Pourtant, on ne restera pas un pays de dialogue en dialogue, de mixage en mixage, de brassage en brassage. Je pense que c'est l'occasion de le faire une fois pour toutes.
But there's also the issue of power play. What is the US and Qatar offering that the AU isn't?
There's obviously an incentive for both Rwanda and the DRC to, get favorable relationships with Qatar and the US, specifically from an economic cooperation perspective. The DRC is looking for greater investment from the US. There are talks of a migration deal between Rwanda and the US. Them reaching an agreement can prove lucrative from an external kind of cooperation perspective with the US.
They are definitely trying, and they have the capabilities to come up with solutions, because a lot of those countries actually have a deep understanding of the conflict. It's just when it comes to enforcement that they are very limited, because they can't use their diplomatic muscle in the same way that the US and Qatar are using, because they don't have the same amount of economic power. And they don't have direct, for example, trade impacts that they can leverage against DRC and Rwanda.
Some also say African regional blocs like AU almost always come late to the party in terms of mediation.
One of the things that I think they can get better at is interfering, or rather basically interfering before an escalation. Not waiting to, for the two countries to start basically fighting, which is what happened between DRC and Rwanda, to issue statements and to kind of activate the mediations, but to monitor the situation closely and anticipate any escalation and act before the escalation. Because once things have escalated, and that's what we are seeing right now, it's very hard to bring back the two parties together.
While acknowledging the vital role of external actors in resolving conflicts across various regions, the question remains whether Africa can truly achieve its long-standing motto of finding African solutions to African problems and reduce reliance on foreign mediation. At the core of it all, Africans seek one fundamental thing: peace. If external factors can assist in making this a reality, then so be it. It's time to move beyond the slogan African solutions to African problems. However, if we choose to continue using this phrase, let us be clear and direct about its implications. And that's the flip side.